Kim. And let's see, the recording is in progress. Let's see, make sure we'll do that. Okay, hold on, guys. I'm just going to get back to it. There we go. Well, good evening and welcome. It is such a pleasure and an honor to be with all of the families tonight, the juniors. I'm so happy to be with you. I was once in your shoes at Rice Memorial, and it was just a few decades ago, but it's such an exciting time for you right now. A little bit about me before we talk about the college list, the right fit for education and career. I am the founder and owner of Davis Education. I've been working in the field for about 20 years with over probably 1,000 clients just like you, working and looking very hard for the right colleges, that right fit. I have visited hundreds of campuses and sat down with hundreds of admissions officers and really enjoyed learning and growing with all my students and the entire education world. My work has taken me across the nation and beyond, and I have sat on various nonprofit boards related to education, both nationally and locally. I'm here tonight to do just what Kim mentioned, to provide you with some wisdom and professional knowledge based on all of that. Some housekeeping before we start. I'm going to be speaking for about 30 minutes, and then afterwards, I'm going to be opening it up for many questions. You can send those questions through the chat room as you listen to the presentation, and then we will be sure to address them towards the end of our program tonight. So let's get started. The college list, the right fit for education and career. I want to first congratulate the class of 2023, where you are right now in your educational journey. You have spent many years preparing and learning in the classroom, and then also experiencing so many wonderful activities outside of the classroom. And now it's time to roll your sleeves up and continue searching for the next stage of your educational journey. And it's just, this is the exciting part. It's now time for you to take that responsibility, feel empowered, and put together a college list that's the right match for you. And I have actually a 3-step process that many of my students, all of my students have followed in establishing a college list and then really discovering a lot of information about those colleges to see if they're the right fit for them. So you're going to hear me talk a lot about fit tonight. It's so important. And how do we get there? So the process, first of all, is basically asking questions. Who am I? The next question, what am I looking for? And then finally, what's the right fit? And we're going to address all of those questions. And we're going to start with, who am I? And one of the challenges that I'm going to give you right now is to create an academic and activity resume sometime in the next month after this presentation. I'm going to show you what it looks like, but I want to talk about what that means currently. You may have already created a resume that shows your work experience and different aspects of you. You may have used one of the management tools, college management tools, to do it, but I have a resume that I highly recommend that really helps to have you look at your academic as well as your activity profile. It is very important to remember that you are going to college to continue your education. And yes, a lot of you are thinking, oh, I'm so excited about being at a Big Ten school, or participating in Greek life and things like that. But the true purpose, very, very important, is to look at what type of educational structure, what type of school is going to be right for you academically. And also that includes your activities culturally too, but I want to address academics first. On your resume, I recommend that you begin with right away showing, what is your GPA? What type of courses have you taken over the 4 years at Rice? And by the way, you can put all this information in as if you're a senior now, because you probably already know what you'll be taking next year. So you're going to show your whole story of academics, whether it's your performance, your curriculum, your awards. Are you in the National Honor Society? Have you been an honor roll student? Are you an AP scholar? Things like that. All of that should be right on that resume. Also included about academics, because remember, that's why you're going to college, all right, is to include any kind of learning outside of the classroom. And that can be as formal as a class. Maybe you did it online. Maybe you went through Khan Academy and took advantage of a free program on engineering because you wanted to learn more about it. Or maybe you took a class at UVM, you sat in, you traveled, you went to Washington and studied law. You are creating a book list because you're a voracious reader. Whatever it is in terms of your learning outside of the classroom, you want that on your resume too. So I'm a very big proponent on having that academic profile. And why is that important when you're thinking of who am I? It's important because that's what colleges are going to be looking at very carefully. And so I want you to look at yourself very carefully related to that as you think about fit, you think about who you are and what kind of academic culture is going to be right for you. Also on this academic and activity resume is going to be all the information about the great things you do outside of the classroom. Are you in music? Are you in the arts? Are you an athlete? Is service really important to you? There's so many different aspects to you that also need to be showcased. And through that, your leadership, your commitment. Also on this resume, I want you to put in special interests, work experience, and your resume, your story, who you are is going to be very different than your best friend, your parents, me, all different people. It's your unique story. And although I will show you an example of a resume, I want you to know that it is an individual that's not you. Yours is going to be particular to you. So let's take a look at that resume for a second and think about who am I? Okay, so this is a resume of a young woman who is a very strong student. I ended up picking a template that would show a lot of different things that she was involved in just to help you brainstorm afterwards about what you've been doing. So this resume front and center, you'll see, and by the way, if you choose to use it, the guidance office will have a template that you can get from them. But you're going to see the GPA is right on top. You're going to see the AP scores, the standardized test scores that the student has already taken. You're going to see course highlights expected for 4 years. This is what will be expected of the student by the time she graduates from, let's say, Rice Memorial High School. Yes, you can fill this in now because guess what? You know what you're going to be doing next year, most likely, or will in the next few weeks. Also here, you're going to see on this resume, this academic and activity resume, all the curriculum during junior and senior year. I definitely like students to showcase those 2 years because they are most important in terms of your courses. So you'll see all the variation of what she's taken. Academic honors are on here, as well as academic enrichment programs that she's taken advantage of.
We can't see the resume.
Oh, you can't?
No.
Okay. Thank you for letting me know that. Okay. So let's do that. And let's go back to it and see it. How about now? Can you see it?
It's not
No.
popping up.
Yeah,
Okay.
the share screen is off.
Okay, let's go down. Hold on. Thank you for letting me know. And let's see if we can get that back. So the screen sharing is disabled right now, Kim. Can you do that? Put that back on for me?
Yes, Debbie, I
Thank
just
you.
allowed you.
There. Okay, how about now?
Yes.
Okay, there we go. Okay, so you can see the student now and you can see the GPA, all of the courses, you can see the honors, you can see the enrichment that this student has been involved in. You can also, and what's important about this is that you as a student can take a look at this and say, okay, this is my story. This is part of me understanding myself and understanding what is going to be a fit in college for me, what type of academic environment. Here it is. Here's the story. And then you look and you say, well, Also, let's look at the activities. And below, you're going to see leadership, community service, all different clubs, athletics. And that's a very important piece of looking for fit too. I believe really strongly that you need to have balance when you're looking for your college, when you're creating your college list, an academic culture that's right for you, but also a social, cultural culture that's right for you. So all of this is telling us the story of this student. One of the things, and you'll have this example afterward to look at more closely, but one of the things that a resume will help you do too, it starts to give you tips of not only what is my academic stature here, what type of activities would be fun to be thinking about in college, but also what could my major be? Do I have any idea of what I want to major in? And it's very normal for most kids to say, I have no clue. But there are certain clues in this resume that are telling us of potential majors for the student to think about. And I often find that this is is something that seems obvious, but it isn't obvious for a lot of students. This student, as you read more closely, has been involved in student government, done shadowing at a law firm, worked for one of the political individuals in their area. They are very strong. They've taken a lot of advanced level courses in the humanities, in government, as well as English, etc. This student is showcasing that she could be very happy studying possibly law, politics, international relations. Look at her AP language level too. So there are hints for you to see when you fill out this resume. What is your story? What's your academic fit? What's your cultural fit? And what about a major? And so all of this is important for you to be thinking about as you're developing a college list. So just to go through again, in terms of who am I, you're going to be thinking about that resume, and make sure if you have any questions about this, that you're putting them right in the chat room, okay? But the second piece of who am I is completing your personality assessment. I am a huge proponent of personality assessments. I think that it's such a wonderful tool and a fun tool for you to use to learn more about yourself. And what it does, I recommend Do What You Are, the Myers-Briggs assessment. It helps you examine your innate traits from your personality and how they are linked to your environment, your work productivity. It helps you to understand what majors and possible careers would be the right careers for you. A little background on Myers-Briggs, Do What You Are. Myers-Briggs is a mother-daughter team that in the 40s saw a relationship between personality and success and happiness in the workplace. And so decades later, millions upon millions of educational institutions, corporations, et cetera, use the Myers-Briggs personality assessment to help place employees, to help with students that are in college, learn about the best careers for them. And there are 16 different personality types. When you take this 15 to 20-minute assessment, you learn where you fit into all of that. And it's such a great tool because it often is, first of all, an affirmation of what you already know about yourself or what your parents already know about you. But it really gives you a little bit more of a picture of what could be a great career or a major for you based on what your personality is. And so, and the assessment actually gives you a whole list. So that's really fun. It also gives you ideas about what kind of college environments would be right for you. It talks about where your strengths are within learning environments. Do you need structure or not? It talks about working with others and with your type of personality. Are you someone that really likes to collaborate and is very happy socially to be doing that? Are you a team player, etc.? So there's a lot of information that comes from this Do What You Are personality assessment that is so fabulous to help you understand a little bit more about you. And as I mentioned before, it's often an affirmation of what you do know, but it does give you more information about what careers are out there, what majors are out there that fit your type of personality. So Kim is going to be, I talked to Kim about this, and we're going to work on finding the Do What You Are for you. It used to be that Naviance offered it, but I don't think they no longer do. So we'll work on it. But I'm a huge proponent of having you do a personality assessment. Okay. So after you've examined and students have gone through, who am I? The next part is, what am I looking for? All right. What am I thinking about? And this is really important. Unfortunately, I can't see all of you. I'm talking right into my screen here, and I'm such a people person. I love to see your faces and your expressions, but I'm talking to the parents right now. This is so important. This is all about your student filling out this complete criteria wish list. It is something where they're going to sit down, and again, I have a cheat sheet for you to use, and Kim has it, the guidance counselors have it if you haven't done this yet, but really thinking about what's right for you. Mom and dad, you went to college already. Debbie Davis went to college already. The guidance office, teachers, they all went to college, but juniors, you have not. And this is all about you. And it's so important for you to take the time and think about what's important to me right now as I think about colleges, the type of school, a large university, or maybe a liberal arts school, or maybe more career oriented. There's so many different types. What about the academic culture? Do I feel like I want it to be highly competitive, an MIT or a University of Chicago? Or am I more into collaborative, which is what you see at a lot of schools despite selectivity levels? What majors am I looking for? Do I want to have an internship? Am I interested in co-op? What about career resources? Can I do research right away? So I talk right in the very beginning about academic culture when you think about what am I looking for? Because guess what? Remember, you're going to college. One of the big reasons is for academics and finding that career. So you want to really think about that. Location, that's always something that comes up. You know, do I want to be near or far? What about urban, rural, suburban? And I will tell you, just to pause here, many times students will be, and you may be thinking this right now, and I can't tell because I can't see you, but I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not really sure about location, or I'm not sure about size, and that's okay. Many times when I am doing this exercise with my clients, the students will sit and say, I don't know, and that's okay. This is the time for you to explore and try different things to find out what might fit for you. So it's okay that you might not know now. There are a couple things that students usually know. They usually know over the years for sure that yes, an ultra urban place like New York City, or no. That's usually something that is very apparent. Or when I ask about co-ed or same-sex colleges, the majority of students will say co-ed. However, there's so many wonderful same-sex colleges too. So, but all the different aspects, whether you're not sure about campus activities yet, but you are looking for Greek life, and you are looking for big sports, or you are looking for a D1 athletic position. These are all things that you're going to start putting down on paper to show what you want, not your sibling, not your best friend, not mom and dad. This is all about you. There is, though, certain areas that you do want to talk to your parents about for sure. And they offer great advisement on all of this. You're driving the bus here, though. It's about what you want. But sometimes family values are such that parents will talk to you about finances. And this is when I really want you to sit at the kitchen table and understand what is the criteria for college expenses. What are you able, parents? What do you feel you're paying for? Are scholarships going to be important? Are you a student who most likely will be going to graduate school? So you have to think about long-term how to pay for college. Colleges offer all different types of merit aid at different levels. So you have to be very aware of all of that and understand what can your family afford? What are their expectations of you? Do you need to contribute to your education, et cetera? And it's a great conversation to have now, not in 5 months, but now. And another conversation to have, because I find these two variables are the key things that parents like to talk about is the distance, because some families feel that they really don't want you too far away because of affordability, again, flying. There may be some type of sickness. There may be all different reasons, but those are family values, and it's part of making decisions and finding the right fit colleges. So what am I looking for? Is
Hey,
such-
Debbie, can I just
Yeah.
interrupt for 1 minute? A
Yeah.
parent was asking if you could share the PowerPoint again so that they can be looking at that as
Oh.
you're talking.
Okay, yes. Okay, that's great. And thank you for letting me know that it wasn't being shared. Okay. Huh. Okay. Thank you. All right, guys, please tell me if this is not up. Is it on your screen now? Can
Yeah.
you hear me, Kim? Can you? Yeah. Okay, so I'm just going to get to that place. Okay. Thank you. And let me know if anything else right away. You can just jump right in. Okay. Okay. So very good. So, so these are all the different variables that I want you to be thinking about. And in addition, you will have a handout that you can jot down. You can save it electronically in your college file, or you can print it out, whatever's more convenient for you, and start filling things in. And also, when you start to visit colleges, you can start to write into your phone or on that document what you like and what you don't like. So what am I looking for? It's about you. All right, so very important. So let's talk about what's the right fit right now and in terms of research. So you've done an analysis of who you are. You've done, very important, your academic and activity resume. You've completed your personality assessment. You've also just filled out everything about what you're dreaming about college. What are you looking for? It's all about you. And now, as you're thinking this through, you're going to put all of that information together and start to look directly at colleges that come up. You're going to be researching and exploring. This is work. This is a process. This is something that is going to be your responsibility. It's going to be so exciting to start seeing what colleges are coming up from your interests. And there are different ways that you can start to do all this research now that you have a really good feeling of what you're thinking about. Okay, so college search engines are great because you can input data about a geographic region, your GPA, your test scores if you've taken testing, if you want large or small, etc. Naviance, which I know Rice has that capability. Also, you can do it through other types of search engines, like through the College Board, and one of my favorite places, College Data. All right. These are wonderful. And by the way, there is a slide at the end of this that has all of these websites on it. But College Data gives you so much information about every single college. And I go to that source many times. But a search engine, if you haven't done them before, again, you input information and it starts to generate a list of colleges. You also can start having fun because you probably have talked to your guidance counselors already. Kim and Drew, for example, and Rachel. You probably have talked to parents and other people about colleges that they think are wonderful based on what they know about you already. So, or you may have heard of some schools and you want to start looking. You should go to college websites. And I would love to have you take a look at 5 websites every few weeks and really start to examine them and learn about the culture and learn about what activities are out there, academic majors, what kind of internship, etc. I just put an example, uvm.edu, because you're always going to have edu on the end of these websites, but take a look at college websites. They're really fun. And the more you get into that, students, the more exciting it's going to be as you learn about schools that might be right for you. There are also other types of resources, and one of my favorites is the Fisk guide. Okay. This is something I'm a big believer in having conversations and not being on your screen all the time. And yes, my whole office is electronic, but I have hard copies of different things too, because I want you to be able to be cozy on the couch and take a look at the Fisk guide and read about when you want to, the campus culture and academic culture. I really like that guide, and I have a list of all the guides I recommend at the end of this PowerPoint. I really like Fisk because it talks a lot about culture, academic and activity, social. And again, that's such a big part of how you'll be happy and engaged at campus. I really like the Princeton Review too, because it gives a ton of statistics. And remember how I talked to you about really understanding yourself and knowing who you are as a student. It will talk about GPA. It will talk about the percentage of kids that were admitted to a particular school based on where they are in their class. It will talk about test scores. In addition, and very important, remember, culture is very important socially. It will talk about the demographics of the school. And, one of the things that I didn't address when I was talking about what are you looking for in a college, and I'm going to come back to it right now, is the whole important piece of collaboration. What size are classes? Are the professors teaching, or are the graduate students teaching? And this is a very, very important piece of all of this too, as you look at colleges. And the Princeton Review and many schools, many resources, I should say, will give you information on class size, student-teacher ratios, things like that, that will talk to you and show you about collaboration. So that's really important. Anyway, I love hard copies and having you cozy, reading them on the couch and having them around for the whole family to take a look at too. Other people that are going to be wonderful resources for you and take advantage of it will be your guidance office, of course, and you know that already, but alums, all right? They're going to be alums and young alums who have just been just graduated or maybe at the school right now, alums of Rice or alums of a particular college. They can tell you exactly what's going on, and they're such a great resource. When you start your discovery piece of the colleges, you've created this college list through your search engines, through going to websites, through information resources, the hard copies, and you come up with a list of, let's say, 25 colleges. That's usually what I recommend. Then you're going to have a lot of fun saying, okay, where do I start with this, and how do I get to know more information? It looks like these colleges could be right for me, but what's the next stage? And the next stage after your research and exploration is really discovery. And this is so much fun. So let's say you've got 25 colleges that you've come up with. And now it's time to really sink your teeth in and learn about them. You absolutely want to get on those campuses. Thank goodness COVID is going away. The past 2 years have been like no other, with students unable to get on a campus and kick the dirt. It's so important for you to be able to feel these campuses, to listen to the admissions offices. And yes, virtual sessions are wonderful, but to go in, hear about what they're focusing on at that particular college, hear about the academics admissions probabilities, hear about the social cultural aspect, and also take a tour with one of the students too. So important. I also recommend that if you are very interested in a particular major, let's go back to that student on the resume, law, political science, that you have an opportunity to possibly look at the facilities that are related to majors you're interested in, whether it's science, business, engineering, English, journalism. It's really great when you're on campus to not only book a visit for the general information session and tour, but also to see what type of facilities are there. You'd be very surprised what happens when you open that door and look in, and there you are. You get to see everything that's there. And you might bump into a professor and be able to talk to to them. It's just very exciting when you get on these campuses and you start to engage and you start to network with the colleges. It's very important to understand once you create a list too, that this whole piece of engagement is so important, getting to know the people at the campus and the students, because engagement is the key word I want you to remember. That's more and more studies are coming out with engagement being what makes it or doesn't make it for students at college, to be engaged, to be able to be very successful in the classroom, to be successful outside of the classroom. It's to be engaged, dealing with all new friends, dealing with professors, trying out everything that's available to you. And that's the measure of success. Frank Bruni says, basically, where you go is not who you'll be. And it's more and more now the whole idea of engagement. So I just want you to know that you'll have these guides. All different guides are available that I recommend. And you'll see the Fisk guide is right on top. There's all different pieces. I want to also highlight Steve Antonoff's The College Finder, as well as College Match. Those are great books that you can get on Amazon. And the College Match allows you to go through a lot of different variables like we did when we talked about what are you looking for. The College Finder is unique in that it highlights all different aspects of a college experience and identifies colleges that meet that. So if you're looking for a Big Ten, tons of school spirit, the book will show all the schools that are known for that. If you're a quiet student that's quirkier and that's more your personality, it has a category that definitely will show that. If you're a dancer, if you're interested in engineering, it shows all of that. If you're very green and you want to make sure you're in a green environment, that's also something that's shown in this book. And it runs a very wide spectrum. So I highly recommend it. Then there are also special interest guides. If you are a student with a disability, you really want to know what's out there and understand when you visit colleges as one of your variables, what kind of services are available on campus. There are different hardcover publications that address everything that you should be thinking of as you consider college. These are some websites that I highly recommend. The College Board, Naviance, you know about, College Data that I referenced to. I also want to point out finaid.org for all the families that don't truly understand yet how you're going to pay for college or what's out there for scholarship money, etc. This is a great resource for you to get very knowledgeable about what you need to understand about paying for college and what is available for you. So we went through who am I, what am I looking for, what's the right fit in terms of creating a college list that's realistic and exciting. And I'm going to challenge you to really follow these steps that I've recommended, because being proactive, working through all of this now is going to help you so much. When you gain knowledge, you are going to be empowered to have a great college list and be ready to have opportunities to be able to choose among them. And I just want to recommend to you that you keep a very positive attitude. It is, as I've mentioned before, such an exciting time for you. And it is something that you'll never forget going through your college process. By being engaged, by being proactive, by following these steps, by taking command of this, by taking on the responsibility, juniors, of this, you are going to have so much success and happiness ahead. Your parents will always be your greatest advocates. I believe that very strongly. They are part of your team. Guidance is part of your team, but it's for you now to take control of this. And it's for you to take a look at your strengths and passions and try to find those right colleges for tomorrow. So I strongly believe this, and I wish you all much success. Thank you. So Kim, would you like to review questions now?
Debbie, I've got a couple. This is Drew, and the
Okay.
first one's from Sue, and Sue asks, "What about the student who gets B's and C's and doesn't have a lot of extracurriculars?"
The student that gets B's and C's has a story. Absolutely. And I've worked with so many kids that are B and C students. In fact, the B student is the type of student is the majority in the United States today. There are several schools that are perfectly suited for a B or C student. But I will tell you that those schools are still going to look at your GPA, your courses you're taking, etc. It doesn't matter. That still is going to be the most important piece on the student's application. So if a student has a 2.5 and is taking a college prep level course, that's great. That's what should be showcased. This is a student. There are schools out there, several. Do you know there's like 4,500 schools in the United States? And again, there's a school for every type of student, several types of schools for that type of student. In terms of extracurriculars, so right now you're saying to me, okay, what if they're academically this level? Well, you showcase everything that the student is in. And that's just as important because there are schools that match that. But in addition to activities, you want to think about, I have a lot of students, for example, that love video games and are very into it. And I have students that love movies. I have students that like to read. I have students that work. I have students that have to take care of their family because the parents are working. I have students that have been going to church since they've been young. I have students that love the outdoors and they're fishermen, or they are, boaters or whatever. Every student has a story. You want to dig and write that story of that particular child. Every student that I've worked with has always had a story. It doesn't matter what their level is.
All right, Debbie, our next question comes from Marianne, and she asks, which guidebook is the one you most highly recommend?
Oh boy. Okay. It depends on the type of student. So as I mentioned before, this guidebook is excellent. All right. And also Princeton Review. And I love Steve Antonoff's, the three that I mentioned. If you have a student who's a B student, you're going to find colleges that aren't in these books that I just showed you. All right. But then you'll see in my resources that I also have a guide, schools that are especially great for B students. So I actually, if you have a student that is below that's a C student, then you want to go into a more general college guide. And I do have that in the resources too. So the best resource, it's a tough question because I don't know who your student is.
All right, I've got one more from a parent, and they asked, is it possible, and Debbie, I don't know if you share these with the big group, but the college wish list questions that you mentioned, is it possible for the people in this group to get those?
Absolutely. All the handouts I've sent to the guidance department, Kim has them, and she will be able to distribute them for sure.
I don't see any more questions in the chat, but if somebody else does, please speak up.
I have a
Okay.
question. I don't know if I need to raise my hand. Do I have to raise my hand? Or can I just ask? Okay.
Yes, go ahead. I'm
Okay,
sorry.
sorry.
Yes,
No, that's
of course.
okay.
You're the one person I can see. Okay, let me see.
Oh, that's so nice.
Okay. Okay.
Or maybe it isn't. But
Mhm.
so What's actually to Kim, do we have to, do we request this information, the handouts from you, or will you email them to the participants on this call, on this meeting, or?
That's a great question. Thanks, Pam. I will send out Debbie's PowerPoint presentation and all the handouts. I'm just gonna send them to all juniors and families,
Oh, great.
so that you all have them. And because
Okay.
I know that there were some families who could not attend
Okay.
this evening, and we're also recording, so that I will send out a link to the recording of the presentation as well.
Okay. So I have another question for Deborah. I just want to make sure I understood you properly. So did you say that the Fisk is really for A students, the Fisk guide?
No,
Or
I did
it's,
not.
oh, okay, I wasn't
No,
sure. I didn't
no,
think so. but
absolutely. No, it's a great resource, and there are
For-
schools on there for, B students, A students,
Okay.
et cetera, for sure.
Okay, great. Just want to make sure I heard it properly.
Yes, for sure. And I just, one thing that I didn't go into because of the time tonight, but I do want to mention that if any of the families, if any of the students have any questions about admissions probabilities, please know that, first of all, guidance can talk you through it, but you have resources to see what are good match schools in terms of your GPA. Sometimes that's one of the biggest questions I get. How can we figure out, what school is a target school, a most likely school? That's a Debbie Davis safety school. I don't say safety, I say most likely. Or what is a reach school? And how I just want families to understand and students to understand that, basically what you can do is you take a look at, you can go to Naviance and you look at where your GPA and your testing is. And in many cases, it's just the GPA right now because of the issues with testing because of COVID. But you'll look at the graphs and you see if your GPA, where it is in relation to the students that have been admitted. Naviance will show you the average admit for for Rice Memorial for a particular school. It will show the average GPA. It will show who was admitted, who was not. And it gives you an idea of how students in your school have fared at a particular school. You should always look at Naviance first because this is your school, and all colleges are going to be looking at the school report and first examining you in the context of your school. The next step, and this is what is part of a student's college research, is taking a look at their websites. And on the website, colleges often in the admissions link will indicate what the most recent class profile is. So the class of 22 is just coming up now. They will be all graduating. And so your schools will be posting, what did the profile of the students that were admitted look like? What was the average GPA? What type of student were they admitting? You can also look, so those are different resources. You can also look in collegedata.com, which is the one that I also highlighted. And you can look and see what the average numbers are there too. Princeton Review, etc. It's really important for you to be realistic about your college list. Very important. And as I've mentioned, take a look at what your academic profile is, as well as social cultural, but be realistic about it. Taking a look at numbers. Numbers do not lie. They are telling you what is going on. And it really helps to give you an idea of basically where you stand, okay? They are not the end all for sure. And your guidance office will talk to you more about that, but they're really good indicators. Indicators of if a school gives you scholarship money, will you be qualified, and many, many other things. So I stress that you understand that. And on your college list, I want it to be a balanced college list, but I want to mention too, there are many kids over the years that have said, Debbie, I've always dreamed of going to X. However, I'm looking at the numbers now and I see that it's going to be really impossible. what do I say? What do I say to that? I say, go ahead and apply to X. If that's been your dream forever, know that the probability might be very low. It could be 1%, all right? But if that's your dream, go ahead. But your college list of 25 colleges to start should really be balanced admissions probability. You don't want a lot of those for sure. You want mostly targets, all right? And reaches are okay, but not far reaches when you have a very low ability to be admitted. There are thousands of colleges across the country, and don't just get caught up in a few of them that you've heard of. Really take the time to explore. There's so many wonderful opportunities. And remember, how successful you'll be and happy and healthy you'll be at college is about how you'll be able to engage academically and socially.
I have another question. Do you really suggest 25 applications?
No, thank you. Thank you. So I can clarify that.
Okay.
In the beginning, I
Okay.
recommend putting a list of 20 to 25
Oh, got
together.
it. Okay.
But the final list is going to be, maybe I see on average, it's usually 7 to 10 schools.
Okay.
And it varies for students. It really depends.
Okay. Thanks.
You're welcome.
I have a question.
Sure.
Carla Walters. I'm calling, okay,
Carla.
so how about, can we talk about ACTs and SATs? So if you have a student that, is a B+ student, but has not tested well in her SATs and ACTs, how much influence does that have in getting into a school? And know there's schools that are going test optional. Do you think come, now the junior, 2 years from now, that'll still be the same? Just kind of going back and forth, whether I put the money towards really getting her tutor and trying to get that SAT up as high as possible, or just take my chances and do test optional.
Okay, that's $1 million question for sure. What I recommend to families is, first of all, I first say to the student who might not be testing as well, this is early on still. If this is a junior, or if you've taken your testing already, I'm not sure how much testing, how much prep has happened. So I don't know enough about the background, but I will say this. If a school, I'm going to answer different parts of your questions. First, you asked about, what about this test optional? First, if the student's testing is not consistent with the performance in the classroom, all right, then do not send, do not share. And colleges that are test optional, that is what they've agreed. The board of directors have said test optional. You're not looking at test optional. It's what you're going to present in your application. So if the student does not have the test scores that are at the average of what the school is showing, then I never recommend that the students send them. Now, what about taking testing and investing in testing? I feel that every student, there have been very few occasions that I have recommended not to take the test. And that's when a student has disabilities, very apparent that testing will never work, all right? So the other side of this is, for a student who might not be testing at that level yet, there could be various factors, and I don't know enough about that particular student, so it's a case-by-case basis. But
Okay.
You as a parent will understand, has the student put in the time to prepare for testing? Have they done what they need to do to reach a certain level test? Because I recommend that everybody do take tests and prep towards tests to get a test score, because it could be important for later on. But then you have the opportunity to just say, it's not good enough for this particular school to have in my application.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else? Any other questions? All right.
Debbie,
Well-
I think there was one in the chat. Now I am
Oh, good. Okay.
having a hard
great.
time recording and seeing the chat at the same time. So I
Okay.
don't know if
Okay, I
you
can
can see
stop.
that question or.
Okay, let me stop sharing and then I'm going to see if I can see it. Okay. Okay, let's see. Should we look at schools' graduation and acceptance rates? Okay, so can everybody hear me? Still?
Yes.
The question is, should we look at schools' graduation and acceptance rates? Yes, you should. Numbers are very important. Let's talk about acceptance rates. So acceptance rates just gives you an idea on the selectivity of a school. And it is important to understand that because that's one of those numbers that you're matching to see, is this the right type of school for me? All right. It's just one of many. So it should not be looked at in a vacuum. It should be looked at, what's the story? Because some of these selectivity rates are based on a lot of marketing that have raised the level of a particular school, which a student could absolutely apply to. And it's not quite as selective as they might be saying it is. So you've got to really understand the numbers. So acceptance, yes, look at it closely, understand what it means, but you have to look at it across the broad spectrum of numbers. Graduation rates, absolutely. You want to know how many years it represents and what it all means. I will tell you that many schools will have 4-year graduation rates that are scary. All right, you'll go, oh my gosh, wait, I can't apply to this school. But they're great schools, but for some reason the rate is not what you would expect. 6-year graduation rates tell the story better. You'll see that the most selective schools in the nation will have the highest graduation rates because that's just the way it is. But that doesn't mean that you don't want to apply to a school that might not have as high. Public universities, for example, for whatever reason, will have lower retention rates, sometimes retention keeping students and therefore graduation because of money, because of many different reasons. But you should be aware of them. Okay. Okay. Thank you, Paul, who said thank you for your time. Okay. And I think that's all. I think I've got all of them here. So anyway, I wish everybody great success and much happiness on this journey. It will be a great adventure. So roll your sleeves up, juniors. Let's go. Okay.
Debbie, thank you. Debbie, thanks to you for sharing your advice and your wisdom and your expertise with us. And again, I will share all of this with all juniors and their families.
Okay, very good, Kim. Thank you. Good night, everybody. Good luck.
Good night.
Take care.